Happy Friday. Today's reading lesson, we're going to review everything we've learned this week. We're going to review the words that have an EE sound in the middle and make the E sound. We're going to review words that have an E followed by a letter and another quiet E at the end, and the middle E makes the E sound. We're also going to go over the two high frequency words that we have learned this week. Today it is Friday, May 15th, 2020. For this particular lesson, all you will need is a blank piece of paper, a pencil, and eraser. And I'll wait while you get those. Let's go on to the next slide. Okay, on this slide we'll be reviewing the words come and does, the two words that we have learned earlier this week. If we look on the left-hand side of the page, we see a large word card with the letter C-O-M-E. That spells come. We're going to point to each letter as we say the name of each letter. Then we're going to say the name of the word. We're going to do this 2 times. Please do it with me. You ready? Let's begin. C-O-M-E, come. One more time. C-O-M-E, come. Remember to point to each letter as we're saying the name of each letter. Look below that, and that is a city, and that is New York City, I found out. And they want people to come to the city to see the museums and see what's happening in the city and the theaters. Now, if you look above the picture, you see another small word come. Let's point to each letter again and then say the word. But this time we're only going to do it once. Point to the small C. Let's begin and let's go together. C-O-M-E, come. Very good job. Now, let's look to the right and you see another picture and you see another word card, a big word card. On that word card, you see the letters D-O-E-S, and that spells the word does. And we had mentioned before, if you cross out the E and the S in the word does, you have the word do, don't you? That may help you remember how to spell it. Now, again, we're going to look at each letter as we point to it. Say the name of each letter, then say the name of the word. We're going to do this 2 times. So get your finger on the slide and point to the D. Let's begin. D-O-E-S, does. Let's try it one more time. You ready? D-O-E-S, does. Very good. Now, let's look at the picture below that. And you see a big bus. I wonder, where does that bus go? I'm curious. Where does that bus go? I used the word does in the sentence, didn't I? Now, if you look above the picture of the bus, you see the word, the letters D-O-E-S in small letters. We're going to point to each letter, say the name of it, and then we're going to say the name of the word. We're just going to do it 1 time this time. You ready? Let's begin. D-O-E-S, does. Very good job. Let's go to the next page. On this one, we're going to review the sounds that the trees make when they're together in the middle of a word, and we're going to review what we're going to review words that have the E followed by another letter and a quiet E at the end. Let's look at number 1 on the left-hand side of the page. And we see some letters in black. We see S, H, E, E, P. Now, before we even sound out that word, let's look at, I notice it has 2 E's next to each other. So I'm going to cross out the last E because it's quiet, it's silent. It's going to give all its power to the first E. So the first E will say its name, which is E. Now, if you remember, SH are best buddies, and they go shh. Let's try that together. Shh. Let's do it together. Now let's sound it out. Shh. Eep. Remember, we only hear one E sound because the other one's silent. Let's try it again. Shh. Eep. Sheep. And if you look underneath it, you see the word in red. That's how you would see the word in books that you read or when you're writing it. The letters are close together. Now let's look to the sentence to the right of it. It also has number 1 next to it. So we're going to read sentence number 1. Now I'm looking at that sentence, and most of the words we know, but there are a few words we do not know, in which case we'll sound them out. I'm going to underline the words we know. We'll circle the words we do not know. Now, let's begin with that. You ready? Let's begin. The sheep. Remember, we saw that word. The next word is a word most of you probably know, but we'll sound out. It goes at, sat. Now let's go back and read from the beginning of the sentence. The sheep sat. Now the next word we don't know, but probably most of you can sound it out quite easily. Let's try it. On. So again, good readers always go back to the beginning of the sentence to reread it. Let's begin with that. You ready? The sheep sat on. Okay, next word is also tricky, but we can sound it out. It has an O in the middle of it, so the O will go ah, because there's no E at the end. So we know it doesn't say its name, go O, it goes ah. Let's try it. Top, top, top. So let's go back and reread the story from the sentence from the beginning. Let's point to the word the. You ready? The sheep sat on top of the. This last one we have to sound out too. This is a bit harder. Okay, let's try. Let's begin. I want everyone trying. H goes ha. Ready? Ha. Il. Ha. Il. Hill. That's one bit harder. Now let's read the entire sentence starting with the word the again. Point to the word the. Your finger needs to keep pointing to each word as we read it, and I want you to say it as I say it. Ready? The sheep sat on top of the hill. And then we have a period. Good job. Now let's go over to the left-hand side of the page where we see the black letters next to number 2. It goes C-O-M-P-E-T-E. Oh, I see an E followed by T and a quiet E at the end. So I'm going to cross out the last E. And the E gives its magic powers to the other E, so it says its name. Now, this is going to be a harder word to sound out because it's longer. We know the E, the one E says its name, the E that I just underlined. The last E is quiet that I crossed out. Now, a word begins with a C. C has 2 sounds. It can go K or S. Usually it goes K. So let's try K. You ready? We have a lot of sounding out to do on this one, so be patient. We'll try it a couple of times. K, eat. Let's try it again. K, C-O-R-M-P E-E-T. Eat. Compete. Compete. Boy, that was a hard word. And underneath that word, you see it in red. All the letters are close to each other. That's how it would be in a book, or if you write a story and use it. Now, we're going to read the next sentence. So look to the right and you see a sentence next to number 2. Now here there are a few words we do not know. Most of them we do know. And if we don't know them, we can sound them out. Now the very first word begins with a D. But this word we may not know. But I bet you can sound it out. It has 2 D's in fact in it. It begins with a D and it ends with a D. I's in the middle. And there's no at the end, so I probably goes I. You ready? Let's sound it out. Put your fists together. D-id. D-id. Did. That's the word did. Now, let's read it again, and we'll read as far as we can until we come to a word we do not know. Point to the word did. Let's read it. Did. Uh-oh. Let's try it again. I had the wrong color of marker. Ready? Did you compete? That's that word again. The next word, I bet we can sound out because it's a short word. I goes I and goes n. In. In. Let's go back to the beginning again. Okay. Did you compete in the... Oh, wow. Look at this last word. I think we can sound it out because guess what? We have a quiet E at the end, so we'll cross that out. The E will give magic powers to the C. And C has 2 sounds. It usually goes K or S. Let's try K first. We know the A will say its own name because it has a quiet E at the end. So we go. Let's try it out. Put your fists together. Ache. It could be rake, but it's not. It makes an S sound. So let's try it again. Ace. Race. Rake would be R-A-K-E. Like I rake the leaves. This is R-A-C-E, so it's race. Now let's read the entire sentence again, starting with the word the. You ready? Did you compete in the race? And there's a question mark at the end. So it's an asking sentence, asking you something. Now I started with a capital letter and I left spaces between each word. And it makes sense, doesn't it? Now let's go to the left side of the screen and look next to number 3. We have some letters in black again. We see S-E-E-N. We have to figure out what word that is. And you know, I see it has 2 E's in the middle. So I'm going to cross out the second E. And it gives magic powers to the first E. So that E will say its name, which is E. Ready? Let's sound it out. S-in. Seen. Seen. Now look underneath it. And you see the word seen in red letters. And each letter is close to each other. That's the way you would see it in a book or if you write it on a paper. Now, I see a sentence next to that, sentence number 3. We're going to read it together, and most of those words we know. There are only 2 words we don't know, and 1 word you probably can figure out quite easily because we've used it a lot. Okay, let's begin with the word they. So I want everyone to point to that. Ready? Let's begin. They, oops, I'm going to try to use black again, so let's try it again. They have seen, that's the word. This word we're not even going to sound out because we saw it lots of times, is it. So let's go back and read. They have seen it. Now this last one's going to be kind of tricky. A goes, usually goes or A. This time goes all. all, all. So let's go back and read from the beginning, okay? Point to the word they. They have seen it all. Now, it makes sense. I started with capital T because that was the beginning letter of my sentence. I left spaces between each word, and it ended with a period, so it's a telling sentence. They have seen it all. It's telling you something. Now, this last page is the next slide. You will need your paper for that because you're going to write what we're writing. We're practicing writing, leaving spaces, starting with a capital letter, ending with a period, question mark, or exclamation mark. So let's get your paper out. Get a pencil and eraser out. We're going to write 2 sentences, but the second sentence is going to be very short. These sentences are going to be used using words we know or words that have an EE in the middle of it, or maybe an E/E. That means an E in the middle and a quiet E at the end. I might even have a U at the end and an E at the, a U in the middle and an E at the end, which means the U would go oo or U. Now, I look at that and I see a picture of a queen. Do you see the picture of the queen in the corner? So I bet the word queen will be in our story. Okay? Now, we're going to write, don't want anything yet. I want you to just listen. I have seen the queen. That's one sentence. Then we're going to write another very short sentence. She is cute. Okay? First, we're going to write the word I. Now, if I is the first letter, our first word in my sentence will be capital or lowercase. Write the capital. So what? A capital I up in the left-hand corner. You go down, down, across, and across. And that's the word I. Please write it on your piece of paper. Down, across, and across. Next, we're going to write the word have. Now, have is one of the words we practice, but what do we do before we write the word have? Yes, you need to leave space. You can leave space by putting your finger down on the screen after the word, on your piece of paper. You can put your finger on your piece of paper after the word have, I, or use your pencil, or use a glue stick, or an eraser, or anything that will work. So leave some space on your paper after the word I, and we're going to write have. You ready? Let's begin. First, you write a lowercase h, lowercase a, lowercase v, and lowercase e. That is the word have. You write it on your paper. Make sure you leave space between the word I and have. Lowercase h, lowercase a, lowercase v, and lowercase e. And I will wait. Use a pencil, please. Now our next word will be seen. And we wrote the word Actually, we saw the word seen in the previous slide, but let's sound it out. In. Now, let's go to the beginning. What letter goes S? You write an S, usually does that. A C can do that, but if we hear it, it's using S. So we're going to write an S. But before we write an S, what we do after the word have? Excuse me. Leave space. So put your finger on your paper after the word have, a pencil or an eraser or glue stick or anything to remind yourself that you need to leave a space. Now let's write the word seen. We have S. First we are going to begin with the S. And I know that's going to erase it, so I'll do it again. Next we hear E. Oh, it says its name. So on this one we have two E's. Because the second E is quiet. And look there, I said the word C, didn't I? That spells the word C. But we're not quite done. I'll let you write that so far. S-E-E on your paper. Seen. What's that last letter? N. What makes it sound? You're right, it's an N. So write a lowercase n right after the E. And that's the word seen. S-E-E-N. Please make sure you have that written on your piece of paper. And I will wait. This is good practice because in first grade you'll be writing a lot and reading a lot. So far you have been writing the words. You have written the words, I have seen. Our next word is the. Now, that is one of the words we know how to spell. But what do I have to do before I write the word the? Leave space, you're right. So make sure you put something after the N to remind yourself to leave space. And we're going to write the word the. You ready? Let's write it. Lowercase t, h, and lowercase e. That is the word the. Please write the word the on your piece of paper. Make sure you've left spaces between each word. So far, my sentence goes, I have seen the, and I'm going to write queen, but I don't have space next to the word the, so I'm going to go underneath the word I. You may have space on your piece of paper, and if you do, just put something after the letter E to remind yourself. But make sure you have space for the whole entire word queen, because queen has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters in it. And we don't want to write part of queen on one line and the rest on another line. It all has to be in the same line. So I'm going to go underneath the word I. And I don't start with a capital because it's not the beginning of my sentence. I'm not done with my sentence. Now let's sound out queen. Qua. In. Qua. Do you remember what is qua? It's a Q. You write a lowercase q. This is tricky. It goes around, up, down, and backwards from a G. Q. Please write your Q on your paper. Now, do you remember Q and U stick like glue? Every time you see a Q, you'll see a U next to it. So let's write a lowercase u. You ready? Oops. Write a lowercase u next to it. And I will wait. Q and U stick like glue. Then we've E, two E's, because it makes one E sound. Go out, out, up and around, out, up and around. E. E. Qua, E, qua, E. Mm, mm, mm. What letter makes that sound? N. You're right. So make it lowercase n. Please write the word queen on your piece of paper. Q-U-E-E-N. And I will wait. You ready? Let's go back and read, starting with I. I have seen the queen. Now that is a sentence. Did I ask you anything? No. So I don't have a question mark at the end. But did I tell you something? Yes, I told you I have seen the queen. So I'm going to put a period. A period is a dot at the end of the N. Let's see if I can do it without it erasing it. It keeps erasing my dot. It's very frustrating. And I erased it again. Ah. So it goes, I have seen the queen. It's not a very good job, but every time I do it, it erases on me. I don't know why. Okay. Now that's a silly dot, but you get the idea. So it goes, I have seen the queen. Now I'm going to do another short sentence. I'm going to say, she is cute. Now, if I start the word she, I'm starting a new sentence because I had a period after queen. Anytime I start a sentence, I begin with a capital letter, and I still lose space. So put something after the letter N or after the period. I should say put something after the period to leave space. And she, what two letters go sh? It's an S and an H. So let's do a capital S and a lowercase h, because remember, when those two are together, they go shh. Like when you're trying to get someone to be quiet, you go shh. So let's write an SH. Your S has to be a capital S because we're beginning a new sentence. She. Oh, shh. We didn't finish she. We just said shh. SH. Please write a capital S on your page and a lowercase e. No, go. Shh. E. Oh, you heard an E, but this time it's only one E. Like me, remember M-E only has one E and it still says its name? Well, the E here, there's only one E, but it still says its name. So add an E to the SH, and that spells she, because I forgot that's also one of the words we practiced together too. So please make sure you write S-H-E, capital S, because we started a new sentence. That's the word she. And you may catch up. I'll give you some time. Let's go to the beginning of the first sentence and read it. I have seen the queen. She is my next word. It's is. But what do I do before I write the word is? Yep, I leave space after the E. And is also one of our words that we have talked about. So put your finger after the word after the E and she, or glue stick, or anything to remind yourself that you need to add space. And then let's do an I and S. That's a word we know, is. And write it down on your piece of paper, please. And I'm going to begin to read the first sentence and part of the second sentence to make sure I didn't leave anything out. I'm not quite done though with my second sentence. I'm just reading to see if I didn't skip any words so far. So I'll go to the beginning again and go, I have seen the queen. She is, my last word is cute. I'm going to sound that out. K, U, T, K, K. What letter goes K? There are actually two letters that go K, K. It's a K and a C. But this time it's the C that we need to write. But before we write the C, you need to leave space after the S and is. So use either your finger, glue stick, eraser, whatever works for you. And let's write a lowercase c. Please write it on your paper, a lowercase c. Good job with K, U. Oh, it says its name, so that's the letter U. Please write the letter U next to your C. K, U, T, 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 T. What letter makes that sound? A T, you're right. So write the T, please, on your piece of paper. Now, I'm not quite done, though, because the U says its name. So what do I need at the end to show that the U says its name? I need an E, quiet E. So let's make an E after the T. And that says cute. Please do the same on your paper. Write the E next to T. Make sure you've written C-U-T-E, and then I'll wait a second. We are almost done. C-U-T-E. Cute. Now, let's read from the beginning to make sure it makes sense. Again, ready? I have seen the queen, and then I have a period. That's why I started the next sentence with a capital. She is cute. Now, I've left spaces between each word. I began my first sentence with a capital, which is the I. I began my second sentence, she, with a capital S. But did I put anything at the end of the word cute? Because that's the end of my second sentence. No, I did not. She is cute. Is that a question? No. It's a telling sentence, so I need to put a period. That means a dot next to the E on the bottom. please put a dot or period next to the E. Very good. And now we'll read the entire 2 sentences for our last time. Ready? I have seen the Queen. She is cute. Good job. Now that's the end of the reading lesson for Friday. Have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday. Bye.